Okay, so most people, they just tap on their phones and move on. Me, I try to open up one app and my phone opens up like 5. Trying to text, autocorrect turns, hey, how are you, into help, how are you? Swiping, hope you like random screenshots and accidental likes from 2013. And at this point, if I ever text you something really weird, just know that it was a team effort between me and my phone. Okay, so most people just walk through a doorway, right? Well, me, it's like my feet just saw a do not enter sign. I step forward, but my legs suddenly forget that we agreed on this plan. Of course, I overcompensate and ricochet off the door frame like I'm trying to knock myself into another dimension. And at this point, if you see me hesitating in a doorway, just know that I'm giving my feet a stern talking to. All right, so most people put on socks in what, 3 seconds? With Parkinson's, I stretch, I twist, I wobble, I sweat, and maybe get one sock on halfway. It's like my foot's in the witness protection plan and it refuses to cooperate. And by the time I'm done, I need a nap, I need a trophy, and probably a chiropractor. So if you see me wearing slippers today, just know the socks won the round, but we'll tangle again tomorrow. And yeah, it's bacon and eggs. That's how I roll. Boom. Well, welcome to the broadcast. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Doing great, my friend. We had some icy weather this weekend that seemed to avoid a circular area, including Whitby here. But there's folks all around us with tree branches and so forth just falling right off. In fact, friends of ours that own a resort lodge had a 140-year-old oak tree just.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my
Crazy
God.
stuff. Crazy. But other than that, the least one last night, I'm in a great mood.
Well, you know what? We got 20 centimeters of snow here.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so we had it all cleared up. Everything. I was getting ready to get on my deck and start unloading my patio furniture and all that stuff. And now I'm right back to snow like crazy. So awful. But we get by, right? I mean, we chose to live here, so I guess we have to put up with it. But we'll see.
I blame my parents.
And yeah, I absolutely blame my parents, and they know it too. Anyway, welcome to the broadcast. This is I'm Bryce. This is my buddy Brian, and this is Life in Motion, the Parkinson podcast. And today, we kind of got into a really emotional, kind of caught me off guard. At least I don't know if it caught you off guard, but last week's episode was turned into like a boo-hoo fest, and that was but it was good. I mean, it was really good. It was touching. I think it was touching. It touched me anyway. I was kind of blown away a little bit by it, but we were really talking about how to talk about Parkinson's, how to talk about our diagnosis, how to tell, all that kind of stuff. And it got pretty crazy. And one of the things that kept coming up though also was, how about at work? Like, how did, so that we thought we'd kind of dedicate some time here today to kind of go through that. And we both have kind of a different journey as we've been talking through this. So it's kind of cool. I think I might give two different perspectives on it. And I think that, hopefully that it'll resonate with some people. And we're glad that you're here for this. And you know what? And while we're talking, please feel free to put it in the comments. Are you still working? Are you thinking about not working? What is that balance going to be for you? And good morning, and thank you for everybody for joining us. And but anyway, so Brian, Parkinson's and work. Now you are. I know you're a professional pickleball player, so I'm going to assume that means retired.
No. Yes to the latter, no to the first. I just love playing the game, and I want to teach it to my grandson. I am retired. Yeah, I don't know. Do you want me just to dive right in?
Yeah, let's get right into it. Like, why not? Let's just,
okay.
Tell us your story, like what happened and with you in work and how long, maybe a little bit about your diet. I guess what's really, to me, I'd like to know, this is what I'd like to know. And I'm maybe, we'll be like interviewer / but, how long into your diagnosis were you working first off, right? And then
Yeah,
how long into your diagnosis did you tell people, not tell people, talk to your boss about it? And
right.
then I can ask you questions through there. How about that?
That is perfect. That's the guardrails I was looking for.
Okay, good.
So just a reminder, we've got probably some new people on the line, and remind some of the repeat guests that are on the line as well. I was diagnosed December 5th, 2018, with Parkinson's. It took almost 2 years to get to that point of the journey. It was cumbersome. That was really hard on my wife Lori and I, because we continued to go along and continuously get tests done to come up without knowing what was causing my anguish at the time.
Mhm.
And for me, the epicenter of my Parkinson's was in my right arm, in my tricep, and I am right-handed. So it was a nuisance, to say the least. But as we were going along the journey, as we got towards the end, you have to come forth with a strategy. Who you're going to tell, how you're going to tell, and so on and so forth. So our neurologist, who was brand new to me, she said in our initial appointment, Brian, I think you have Parkinson's, but the only way we're going to be able to tell is if we put you on levodopa
Yeah.
for 6 weeks, and after that, I want you to come back and see me. And if the levodopa is improving you, you have Parkinson's.
Yeah. Me
So
too.
Laura,
Same
same
idea.
idea.
Yeah, that's exactly what they told me.
Okay, so we went home. So we really did our announcement in two phases. I said to Lori, let's look at who we need to tell immediately based on what I need to go through now for 6 weeks. Kind of like a heads up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's your core circle, right? So that was my
Absolutely.
daughters, that was my brothers, my sisters, my Lori's brothers and sisters, et cetera, et cetera. It was a smaller group, but it was a tighter group.
Mhm.
And I have to give Lori and my eldest sister the most credit here, because they took that on. I really wasn't in a position to have that conversation. I was
Nice.
there when we told the girls, for sure. It's not like I ran away. It's just it was too emotional for me, as you can imagine after last week. So that was right. So
Yes.
that was phase one. Now the good news about going through all those tests and not getting the results that gave the outcome of what was going on with me, but what it did tell me was there's a lot of things that weren't wrong with me. So being Mr. Positive, check those boxes off, because that's a good thing. And so 6 weeks later, we went back to the neurologist, and as she had figured, I had Parkinson's.
How
So
old were
when
you?
we
How
got
old were you, Brian, at that time?
so that time would have been into the new year. It would have been early 2019. So think about that. Early 2019 was just about a year before COVID hit.
And you were what, like 30 years old?
I wish. I was 59, 58,
59?
going on 59.
59. And
Um,
Janine in the comments there, she just put a comment, she was 62, right? So anyway, so yeah, 59. So
yeah. So from there, what's the strategy on telling the rest of the world?
yeah.
Which for most guys, once you finish school, your job is your life,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Your job is your life.
My
So
identity.
I decided we'd actually had lunch, my wife and I, with good friends of ours who are from the industry that I was in information technology, and I told them at lunch. Um, and then when we jumped in the car to come home, I said to Lori, I said, we need to tell my work immediately because God bless our friends that we just had lunch with, but they're in the same industry, and we all know how
Well, it's going to get out.
how
Yeah, it's
bad
going to get
news
out.
travels, right?
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah, yeah.
Did you hear Camkin? Blah blah blah. Hey, did you
Yeah.
hear? Right. So I said I'm going to call my boss right now.
Oh,
So I called
wow.
him from the car. on
Oh,
our way back
wow.
from lunch.
Okay.
The old wow for me was he picked up the phone. I could never get my boss live, hardly ever. And I always joke around about it. That's
Isn't
why I'm
that
smiling
something when
now.
that
But yeah,
works out?
I got him live. I told him what was going on. Yeah, he just very net brief, and he said, "Thank you for having the courage to tell me that, Brian, because yeah, wow, it's this funny world. His dad has Parkinson's. I kid you not. As I'm sitting on the phone, he goes, my dad has Parkinson's. I know how you feel.
Your boss's dad had Parkinson's?
Yeah.
Wow.
So imagine not telling him and working
Yeah.
forward under that mask, if you like.
Wow. Yeah.
It changed everything for me.
Wow.
Because
So-
again, I got to bring
Amazing.
COVID back into this because it had such overwhelming involvement in my journey. So from there, I just continued to work. But if I needed to go home at 2:00, I didn't have to tell my boss I was going home at 2:00, or if I needed to work from home, or if I wanted to go lay on the couch for a half an hour, because as you know, Bryce, in the initial stages, it really sucks the life out of you, to the point where you really got to balance your day and choose your appointments wisely, and that doesn't go away as you get more dependent on the dopa, and you get a little bit worse, right?
And you're right, 100%, and they're 100%, and I can attest to that too. I mean, there was days I was literally leaving work at 2:30. I went up.
Yeah.
I remember pulling up actually to a red light, and my head was I was bobbing like I was going to fall asleep. Almost had to pull over.
Guilty, absolutely.
Yeah, same idea. What's interesting though is we have a couple comments live here.
Yeah. Okay.
From Janine and Zedman, and when I looked at them, I mean, right away, got diagnosed in 2019. Told my boss the next day, right? And to Janine's point, like got diagnosed. And I was 62, and told my boss, right? Even though he maybe didn't follow through and tell him exactly what it was.
Right.
But what's crazy. What's crazy about that to me is now, and then you're saying, I'm going to phone my boss right now. Now, I don't know if this is an age thing or maybe it was a me thing, but when I got diagnosed, so I was 40 years old, right? I was 40 years old, and I had, two teenagers and one preteen, and I was kind of in my prime. Like I was literally climbing that corporate ladder. I was right in my prime. I was really sailing, and my God, I did not want them to know. I mean, I was petrified of them finding out, and in my head, there was a couple of reasons. One was vain and pride, and I didn't, I didn't want anybody to pity me or treat me differently. But on the flip side to that, I think I was afraid of them stopping, like that they wouldn't invest in me anymore. That they would not, they would give up on me, right? Or I'd lose my job. And I think so. I was almost petrified about them finding out, because I thought if they find out that I'm done, like my future is done, I'm going to be taken out. And I ended up working there another, I don't know, gosh, I guess I worked there about another 7-8 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, something like that. So obviously it didn't at that time. And I just thought it was kind of interesting because the people in the comments, the live comments, were saying, "Hey, I told him right away." You're saying I told him right away, and I'm like, then I'm feeling like the odd person out, going like, was I just a big chicken, or was it maybe it had something to do with age? And so if you're here with us today, or you're in the replay, I'd like to know that if there's any YOPD, some younger people, did it make a difference? I don't know. For me, it did. I maybe I can use that as my excuse that I didn't want to tell them and whatnot. And I'll be honest, but if I had to give someone advice right now, I would tell them, as soon as you understand, as soon as you're ready, as soon as you understand it, I would tell, because for me, it was worse. I was so scared. I had hiding my pills, sticking them in my pockets. I didn't want anybody to find out. And I got busted. I was like, I went to, those big giant pill bottles, the giant ones. Like I got one right here. Like these big, the big crater ones. You're carrying those things around, and I'm trying to put them in little things, and whatever. But I'm in my office, and I spilt them all over the floor. And I mean, mine come in what do I got here? Like 1,280 pills or something
Mm.
at a time. So I had 1,000 of these yellow levodopas all over the floor of my office. And my assistant walked in and she's like, "What in the heck?" And I didn't know, she think I was on drugs or something. I don't know what it was. Anyway, so I had to tell her, and it was interesting because she said, I am glad you told me that, because she said I was like literally, there was just some things about you that I just thought you were maybe not as interested, or maybe you were going through something. They thought I was almost pulling away from my team, pulling away a bit, and I
Hmm.
guess maybe I really was. I was hiding, and I was scared.
Yeah.
I had comments. I remember doing a boardroom one time, and I was pointing to something, and one of my salesmen asked me if I had too much coffee because my hand was shaking, right? And so there was
Uh,
all these things coming. And so looking back, if I had to give advice now, I would definitely, I'd definitely give it up sooner and take my chances with it, if that makes sense. But anyway,
it does. You used an acronym at the beginning of that, so that last point you were making, Bryce, and it stands for Young Onset Parkinson's Disease. Just so the audience has an
oh,
understanding
sorry,
of
yeah,
what you're
of
referencing.
course,
Yeah,
sorry, yeah, absolutely,
no worries. Yeah, so that's yeah. I could see how that could happen for you. As I was learning more, because you mentioned that in your experience that you needed to learn more. Like you were just
yeah. I
told,
didn't know. I
"Hey,
didn't know
you
what the
got
heck it was.
Parkinson's disease." Okay,
Yeah,
so I've got something like Michael J. Fox. That's all I knew.
yeah,
But that's when I started to dig in and start working on becoming um, the expert generalist that I wanted to be.
yeah.
And that's when I became a student and a teacher. And I think I've surpassed that goal now, which really helped me. But in not telling my boss, imagine how that journey could have gone for me. Versus the guy gets it, his dad has it. His dad was still
Amazing,
alive at the time that
amazing.
we had this conversation. Yeah, so he treated me well, to say the least.
You,
But then
you know,
COVID came along, right?
I was going to say, so 2019. So you're walking right into like
So
the,
I had a year of working under those circumstances, and then COVID hit, and we were all sent home. So there I was, 2.5 years, not having to be in the public, and I'm a sales guy, so I would be doing presentations
yeah, me too.
and things of that nature, right?
Yeah,
And I didn't have to do that, quite frankly. I did Zoom ones, but you can't see my hands right now. Not that it matters, but let's say I had a twitch in my hand, or a tremor. Um, I
you could
certainly
hide
could
it
hide.
easy.
I could hide it easier, right?
Yeah, and
And
or else the screen. Here's the thing, and I'll say I still use this today. If any, long I don't think
here we go,
any of
confession.
my my teammates at work are watching, but it's kind of like we're having a bad internet day today. Like I don't know what's wrong with the internet, so I'm gonna just turn my camera off. I'm just gonna turn it off because it might make it. That's the famous line, right?
Yeah, I didn't wash my hair that day. That's
Yeah,
what they're really
exactly.
telling you.
It's like, oops.
Yeah, it's so true. So stuck in COVID for a while. I didn't have to worry about um, driving home to plunk
Yeah.
myself on the couch. I could walk 15 paces across the living room, and there I was.
Now,
So
is that good or bad? Because that could be easier to call it in, maybe, right?
yeah, yes is the short answer. But no, that's not the way Brian came
That's
from the place.
that's not who you are.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
To your point, I was at the top of my game.
Yeah.
Every year I'd have a discussion with my boss around annual review time and so forth. And I didn't even get cost of living raises because I was at the max. They bought a company that I worked for, and that's how I came back to HP in my second term there, because I worked there from 2000 to 2010, and then I went back just before COVID. Um, so with the COVID umbrella, if you like, and protection, it really helped me out. And then towards the end of COVID, as we were coming out from that, I had a discussion with my GP and my neurologist and my wife, And we made the decision, we need to start looking at retirement.
No, so two things before I want to ask you something just before we get into that part.
Sure.
Because I eventually left my job as well, and so I think we have compelling stories there on two different angles on it. But so you told just so I key in on this a little bit. You told the boss, right? So the boss knows now. Now,
Yep.
did they like? My curiosity would be: did they say, "Hey, let's have a strategy with the rest of the staff," or was it something that you like? How did you tell other? Or were you going to tell other coworkers? Was just the boss that was going to know, or like how do you balance the coworkers now? And was that something that they wanted to be involved in?
Great question.
I know. I threw that one. Just that's like a curveball. Like
there's also one other piece that has to tie into that conversation, and that's your customer. In my case, being a sales guy,
absolutely.
Right? If you're not a salesperson, you wouldn't have that concern.
Absolutely.
I'd already started to tell the people that I worked closest with at the two accounts that I had at the time, because I was diagnosed December 5th, 2018. Christmas lunch time was just around the corner. We weren't in COVID yet. I could take them to a Christmas lunch and thank them for their services and blah blah blah. And oh, by the way, I have Parkinson's, and I told them all just like that.
And did you ask your boss's permission or no? Or even for the customer side or no?
No.
Good for you.
No, it's it's my business. It's my decision. I felt they needed to know for all the same reasons. I actually had a customer call me, and I'm so glad he had the courage to do what he did. There wasn't anything wrong with me, but he said on the Zoom call, I sounded like I was, not that I was drunk, but he had a hard time understanding me.
Yep.
And it had something to do with Parkinson's. I didn't know what I know now then. So I just assured him, there is nothing wrong with me. I do appreciate you making the phone call. And if that ever happens again, I give you permission to call again. And he knew that I had Parkinson's, and I didn't bring it up as a crutch or anything. I didn't remind him that I had Parkinson's. I just played it as, if that shows up for you again, call. Just like
interesting.
You did now.
And just call. Let me know. No, and what's interesting is, and the comments that we're getting live right now, it's like you were all guys were all diagnosed around the same time, 2019, 2020, which is crazy. You're all old. I mean, I'm an old timer now compared to you guys. I was 2010. I was like 2010. But what's cool is the other thing too is, and I was reading this comment here from Janine. It's like, ER nurse, so she couldn't do her job because of the tremors, right? So now as a salesman, and your voice is starting to go, and you're starting to slur a little bit, sound a little drunk. Is that almost the same thing?
It could have been. I've been lucky with my diagnosis of Parkinson's. I've had relatively very little, I'll call it side effects, or to impact me. People look at me, and I look normal. Honestly, I'm starting to now have a little bit of shakiness.
Yeah.
And I think that's because of the quiz questions that we do. I'm just
Shaky,
trying to
Fakey.
live. I'm trying to live the part of Shaky. No, but all kidding aside, I think I've got some of that stuff leaking my way, and that's okay.
How long have you been on levodopa?
So December 5th, 2018.
So 2018, so 7 years, right? So they say that like there's a lot of side effects start coming around 4 to 5 years after you start taking levodopa, right?
Yeah.
So and for me, so I've been on levodopa 15 years. So I know it's there, right? I know I want my body right now wants to sway so bad. I just want to go, and I'm thankful that I can kind of hold it back a little bit, at least a little bit as well. But so to your point, I had customers as well. I had the whole thing. For me, because mine as well were not so apparent, right? My symptoms weren't
Yes.
bad. Mine were more inside. Mine was
Okay.
more cognitive, right? So mine was that wiped out, tired, stiff, sore. Oh my gosh, like, and falling asleep at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
And at the time I was traveling a lot. I flew like, I don't know, like 100 times a year. Like I was like all over the place,
Yeah.
and it was wearing me out. I was having those days where I just couldn't even get out of bed after I'd come home from a long trip and I'd crash. So I had to
Yeah.
make that decision based on, and at the time, I think that probably only 50% maybe of the people that I worked with knew I had it.
Okay.
Maybe 50. I mean, look at me, right? Big fake. I was able to fake out 50% of them. But I had to make that decision on just on that, right?
Yeah.
And I realized that I was so tired. I was so tired and so stiff and so beat up and so exhausted that I didn't have time for my family. So what I was doing is, if you think of it from this perspective, if I had 8 hours a day of energy,
Yeah.
just pretend of good, 8 hours of good Bryce, okay?
Yeah.
I was expelling that at work. And then I'd come home and crash.
Done. Yeah.
And so, I have teenagers, I've got a family, I got things going on, I got, responsibilities, and I couldn't do anything. And I had to make a decision, and that decision was, if I am feeling this way, and of course I can't ask, like you were saying about, if you had to leave early at 2 o'clock and go sleep, it was good because they all knew. Well, mine didn't know, so I couldn't ask for accommodations. I couldn't say like, hey, how to mod this. And I actually look at my job, Brian, and maybe I talked myself into it, but I always said like, well, I can't because they can't mod my job. Like there's no way my job can be done in this time. Looking now, I'm sure it could have been. But having said that, I had to make a decision where, did I want my best me and all me to be giving it at work, right, or giving it at home, or a split, or half and half. And I mean, I obviously had it through COVID. COVID was wonderful for me. Like COVID gave me back
I agree.
a year or two because it literally slowed me down. There was no flying, and I wasn't traveling.
Yeah.
I was at home.
Yeah.
I learned how to pace myself better when I was at home.
Right on.
And guess what? I think I did such a great job at pacing myself, having a better work-life balance. I was so good at it that it was probably when COVID ended, I only lasted at work for about 3 months. And that was it. And I had to pull it. I had to pull it. I had to
Suck the life out of you.
retire and stop because I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Crazy. Now, for the coworker side and the customer side, was there any pride or embarrassment in that? Like, have you ever felt that sting of embarrassment or pride where you didn't want to call in a customer because you were too worried about what it might look like or what might happen?
Short answer, no, not at all. Quite frankly, when I was diagnosed with heart disease and I was 46 at the time, I found a lot of people were negative about their diagnosis. They were depressed. They felt broken, is the way I put it. And I didn't focus on the broken when I was diagnosed with heart disease. So I didn't do it with Parkinson's either. I focused on, and it's something I tell myself every night before I go to bed. I want to get up tomorrow feeling as good as I did yesterday, because in a degenerative disease world, I win.
Yeah.
And that's why I won't allocate 24 hours to a bad day. I have bad moments in a 24-hour period, but I would never allocate the 24 hours to be pissed off at whatever it is.
Nice.
I won't. I don't allow myself to do that.
I can be embarrassed of it though. Like when I'm thinking about it just out loud, and it's funny because you said that, and that's such a great. So maybe we're going to ask you, Brian. We're going to put you on the spot here.
Yeah.
Okay, because we're talking about this, and I know maybe you're not showing tremors, but let's talk tremors, right? So we have a couple of people in the remarks saying, yeah, it's embarrassing, like especially if I'm machinery or I'm working on it, or it's my the focus is on my hands, it's what I do, like how do you not be embarrassed about it? How do you not feel bad about it? How do you not feel that stigma behind it?
It all starts with your attitude. When I had heart disease, every morning I got up, I posted a quote on Facebook, a positive quote. And I had quotes being sent to me from a variety of different sources. You sign up for quote of the day and they send you a quote. So I would receive 5 or 6 every morning, first thing in my inbox. And the first decision I made when I opened my computer every day was, what quote did I want to live by? And I did that for like 2.5, 3 years, Bryce. And then one day I was like, I'm starting to repeat quotes. I'm okay. I'm over it now. Heart disease is way behind me. I'm walked the daughter down the aisle. I'm having, life is great.
Yeah.
And instantly I had notes coming from people across Messenger and Facebook going, whoa, where's your quote, Brian? I read that every day. That quote's not for you, Brian. That quote's for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Powerful. So I went back in and started doing it again. It was unbelievable.
So you're motivating yourself. You're pumping yourself into that. You're getting your mindset straight. You're setting your standards for what you do, and I think that's amazing. And for me too, it's the same thing where I feel like. So for me, because I wasn't telling anybody, so the power of telling people, right, of them knowing, to me opened up the door for me to be able to be less embarrassed, if that's the right way to say it, because now they know what it is, right? Like, and I think I was like, I'd be trying to hide it because I didn't want them to know, but then so the whole thing, and then of course after you go through 15 years of this stuff, and you've been you're going into your 15th year of having it, it's so exhausting trying to hide it all the time that it's like, screw it, why don't I just do it, and why don't I let it go?
Right.
Yeah, why don't I let it, there goes my voice. See, it was like, I never used to stutter before. But, why don't I just let it go? Why don't I just be that way? And I got to a point where, let me tell you something really funny. And maybe it's funny, but I'm throwing myself under the bus on this one.
Okay.
But this is where what I think is crazy. So I left my job, right? I left my job. And I'm like, I am gonna do YouTube, and I'm gonna be a social media person, and so I took a year. I gave myself a year, and I was gonna build this, like, motivating people and everything else. Never mentioned Parkinson once, right? But through that year, I ended up meeting some people with Parkinson Canada, blah blah blah, and I started doing some radio interviews for them, just some advocacy work and whatnot, and they had a new CEO come in who had a great vision, and I was so mad that there wasn't enough resources out for people that were newly diagnosed. And I was like, come on, you guys got to do a better job. You got to get more stuff out there. You got to be more involved. I need when you first get diagnosed, you're Googling everything. Oh, what's this? How does this work? What does this work? And and if you're in there, so I was just hammering down, and so she challenged me. She said, okay, then if you're then you come and do it for us. You come and change it. So I started there about 3 years ago, and now and it was like semi-retired coming out of my big retirement at 45 or 40 or 50 years old, and now I run one of the biggest teams at Parkinson Canada, and I'm probably busier than I was in my other job, my corporate job, but I'm not as tired, but this is the crazy part of it. We have 70 employees. I'm the only one with Parkinson's. Okay. We will go into like meetings where we'll have a staff meeting, and they'll bring in like people with like life experience. Like they bring you in, Brian, and say, hey, talk to the staff about what you're going through and everything else. And I'm sitting in the crowd, right? I'm like, oh, that's too bad, Brian. Brian. Yeah, I know how you feel, that type of thing. But I felt myself almost pretending I didn't have it again.
Wow.
Isn't that bizarre? Like I wasn't hiding it. But in my brain, I was kind of like, oh, I'm with them now, right? And I don't want them to think that I can't pull my weight, and or whatever. It was just so bizarre that I literally I shook myself at one point. Like I shook myself, and I was like, oh my gosh, like what are you doing, man? And so, which totally changed everything, because I started telling people, and all of a sudden now someone would say, "Hey, can we have a meeting tomorrow at 8 o'clock in Eastern time?" I'm like, "No, no, not a chance. No, no, no." Because if you want to meet at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning, I got to get up at 4 to get my meds rolling and stuff. So now, I can say, "Hey, at 10 o'clock." At 10 o'clock or whatever, and they're like cool with it. They're like, and or now I get like, is it too early? Like they book me at like 9:30. Is it too early? I'm like,
Perfect.
no, we'll make it work. But, but, but you know what I realized and what I found? The more I told people at work, the more that they're into it and they know and they know now, right? They're not. They don't. They drive. They drive. My team drives me. We were talking about it earlier. Just these young whippersnappers, and they're pushing the old man like, "Let's go, go, go."
They're
And I'm
keeping you
kind of,
young.
hey, I want to pull the Parkinson card out. Hey guys, stop. You do realize that I have Parkinson's, right? Come on. Like, because I never do that. But it's like because they don't see me.
Yeah.
They don't when they look at me, they're not seeing Parkinson's in me. No matter even when I'm having a day, even when my symptoms are flying, I could be sitting there and I'm rocking and rolling and my hands are they're looking past it just at who I am. And so my identity is not in Parkinson's, right? My identity is not Parkinson's. Parkinson's doesn't own me. I'm not,
No.
it's not that. I own Parkinson's. It's
Yeah.
in me, but I'm the boss of Parkinson's. And that's how I try to take power over it. And I try to make fun of it. I try to make fun of it and stuff. So anyway, that was a
Actually,
segue crazy.
No, you made a good point there, though, that I want to touch on as well. Again, you can't tell that I have Parkinson's, and I think the person that was hardest for would be my wife, Lori, because the only thing that changed was I was home more through COVID,
Yeah.
through being let go and retired by
Yeah.
the company that I worked for. Um, she was under the impression I could still climb a ladder and I could do this and I could do that. And I'll never tell her I said climb a ladder because that's an example she wouldn't
Those are
have
the things
used.
I'm not allowed to do, but somehow everything gets
Right.
done when they're not here.
So in the beginning, because it changed, but in the beginning, I think that's where her challenge lied. But then over time, especially with me then being home more often through COVID, through not working, she came to understand. Yeah, I don't live on a huge property, but I don't have the stamina to cut the front and back grass and trim it, and do it all at once.
Yeah.
I don't have this. I don't have the strength. I
Yeah.
have the want, need, desire because I'm one of those guys that's all about curb appeal. So I make sure I'm always rested for the front yard. But truthfully
That's what
be
everybody
told,
sees. That's what
we
everybody
share
sees.
stuff now. We share jobs like that. And I'm starting to get clumsy. So she's really conscious of telling me to be careful carrying that coffee cup, plate, wine glass, whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And she's not doing it to be mean. She's doing it because it's necessary. So I came up this morning with my coffee cup, and my daughter's here because of the ice storm. They got ice 40 minutes east of us here. We didn't get so much. So their hydro was there. So long story short, they're here today, which is great. But I was coming up the stairs, going into the kitchen, and my coffee cup was in my hand,
Yeah.
and it had coffee in it. And I don't carry a sippy cup around.
Oh,
But
I
my
do.
daughter was like, "Hey, Dad, be careful." And I'm like, "Did I almost hit the railing?" She goes, "No, I'm just kidding." I said, "Don't do that." I said, "I could hit the railing."
Yeah, exactly. My wife looks at me. Well, we were at a function. It was our anniversary today, so we went out for dinner last night,
That's awesome.
and we had first year anniversary too, by the way. But anyway, we
Congrats,
had to
buddy.
go, and I went like, I'll go get us a couple cups of coffee, and she just looked at me like really.
Yeah.
Really, like you're really gonna do that? And I'm like, well, let me try. And she's like, why? Let's let me do it, right? But I
She's
feel
right.
like, yeah, I mean, and she's right, 100% right,
Yeah.
1,000% right. Brian, you
Yeah.
know what I want to do right now, though? I want to segue right into, and, before you do that, actually, there's so many comments about the dark sense of humor, and I'm getting a dark sense of humor, and you got to play the card you're dealt with, and living with Parkinson's, the whole thing. Like, it's so funny, and in the chat's going crazy, and it's awesome because I feel exactly the same way. It's like, why not? I mean, like why not? we take the power back when we blast it off, right? Like I make those stupid. I shouldn't say stupid. I make those little funny things every morning. I try to make them every morning. I missed
I
a couple
love
last week,
those. They're like my quotes.
that's what I'm doing, and it's real life. It's like, okay, I could barely get my sock on today, so
I
you know
so
what?
relate to that.
Yeah, damn you, Parkinsons. I'm going to make fun of you now, in public, and I'm going to go on YouTube and I'm going to make a thing about not putting socks on because it doesn't, and I'm laughing at it. So I feel like the more I laugh at it, the less it's going to bother me. Does that make sense?
100%. I love
All
it.
right. All right.
Love
Well,
it.
I love it too. I love it too. I really do. And
So where are we headed? Where are you taking me?
I want to go to Shaky and Fakey because I want everybody to play along with us
Okay.
here today. Shaky,
Do it.
let's do some Shaky or Fakey. We're going to do it around work, and if it's the first time you're on the podcast, I'm going to ask Brian 3 questions, and the answers are going to be shaky or fakey, right? So true or false. So maybe you get the analogy there with Parkinson's.
Yeah.
And they're related to work, okay? And I want you to play along, and you put the answer in the comment. And I want to see if people can beat you, Brian, at this. And here we go. You ready?
Hold
and
on.
you know what?
I just want to warn the people online.
Yeah,
Last week I was 3 for 3. So
you were 3 for 3 last week. That's
yeah,
true. So
bring it.
okay, so in that vein, though, Brian, wait do you see these questions? Because I'm like, I'm going to go hard. I'm going to go hard. And I saw the most beautiful beautiful comment, and this is, and I believe that, and that's what this is all about. And want everybody to know that comes along this journey with us, to subscribe and join and follow and come with us, because this is just a real space, man. Like it's the reality, right? It is just real. Like, why bother? Why be fake? Why be fake? And we do. So, shaky or fakey? Here we go. Shaky or fakey? So, I'm going to ask a question to Brian. I want in the comments. Let's beat Brian. You're going to put your answer in here. Okay. Whether the answer is either going to be shaky or fakey, true or false. Okay. Here's question number 1.
Yes, sir.
And these, I'm going to warn everybody, and Brian, I'm warning you,
All right.
because Brian's been going 3 for 3. These are hard. Okay, ready? All right. Question number 1. In North America, you can legally be fired for having Parkinson's if you can no longer perform essential job functions, even with reasonable accommodations. So can you be fired? So shaky is true, fakey is false. So
That
in North
question was
America,
asked about North America. So
Yeah.
with that in mind, I'm jumping to a shaky response.
shaky response. So you're going. Wait a minute. Did I screw that up? Is shaky true or false?
Shaky is true.
Shaky's true. I'm so sorry. I screwed. I was saying shaky. No, did I say shaky's true? Yeah, shaky's true. Shaky's true. Fakey's false. Right? In North America,
You said
can
North America. You didn't say Canada.
No, I said North America. Ready?
So that is what I based my answer on.
Okay.
And I'm saying, and I'm still sticking with shaky because I did this podcast 3 weeks ago.
All right, here we go. So you said shaky, going true. Most of the comments are saying fakey. You're going shaky. And the answer is shaky. That's true. That's true. Laws protect from discrimination, but if you can't fulfill core duties, even after accommodations, employers may have legal grounds to let you go. So, wow. Okay, I thought I had you on that. I got everybody in the chat, though. So, okay, come on, guys. Got to beat Brian. Here we go.
I'm an expert generalist.
If somebody can come back and beat Brian in live during this podcast,
off my face.
Yeah, I'm going to send you a gift. All right, here we go. Question number 2. Under U.S. and Canadian workplace laws, your employer has the right to request full access to your medical records if you disclose a condition like Parkinson's. Okay, so let me read it again. Under U.S. and Canadian workplace laws, your employer has the right to request full access to your medical records if you disclose. Are you Googling it? You can't Google it. Don't you dare Google. Are you Googling it?
I don't have my computer on.
Okay, I thought you were. I'm like, is he Googling
No, I'm
that?
thinking.
All right. So you know the question. So it's shaky or fakey. So shaky again. Shaky's true. Fakey's false. Brian.
So where you've got me.
So can you
on this one is you included Canada in the question.
Yeah. Shaky or fakey?
I'm with you. I'm gonna go.
The crowd's going. We got. What's the crowd
Fakey.
going here? You're gonna go shaky.
Fakey.
We got a couple shakies. So you and living with Parkinson's have shaky, and you're in with, and we have a couple fakies. And the answer is a fakey. It's a fakey.
That's what I said.
Fakey. I thought you
I
said
said
shaky.
Fakey. No, I said Fakey.
Oh, come on. Did you? I thought
can
you
play
said
this
shaky.
back.
Should we
play
run?
this back.
Who was
It's
listening?
Fakey.
I thought you said. Oh, come on.
Must
Did
come up in
Brian
the
say
chat.
shaky or fakey? And someone has to, because I can't rewind the tape here. We're live. But the answer,
fakey.
yes. So it's fakey. Nope. You usually only need a doctor's note confirming the condition and general limitations. Full medical files are not required. And as Janine said, thank God. So you were a fakey on that one? Okay, I'll take your word for it.
100%, buddy.
So you're 2 for 2?
Later. Yeah, I'm 2 for 2.
You're 2 for 2? Okay. Man, that question freaked me out at first. I'm like, holy
I had
moly.
a hard time with that one. I'm not going to lie, because it was very well written.
Well, I tried. And, but you think about that. If that was the case, then I think that would deter a lot of us from saying anything at any time, right?
Yeah, it was
You never know.
That.
Oh, my God. Brian's 2 for 3. We got some 1 for 3s or 1 for 2s, 1 for 2. So this could tie it up.
Because we haven't had questions.
Oh, you're 2 for 2. My God. So did you know, Brian, did you know that I have a neurological brain disorder? It's progressive with no cure, and that makes me sometimes screw up when I'm doing math. Anyway, that was my full. All right, here we go. Okay, question number 3. Here we go. Come on, everybody. Let's see if we can tie it up. Brian is going to get around, and here we go. Certain Parkinson's medications, especially dopamine agonists, I can never say this word, agonists, I'm going to say it like that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, agonists, yeah, can cause side effects like impulsivity or obsessive behavior that could unwillingly affect your job performance. So, certain Parkinson's medications, especially dopamine agonists, I can never say it right, can cause side effects like impulsivity or obsessive behavior that could unknowingly affect your job performance. So, are we going shaky or fakey on that one, Brian? And this is 2 for 3.
Shaky.
And the answer is Brian just went 3 for 3. That is a shaky one. Totally true. It's one of the lesser known side effects and something to discuss with your doctor if your behavior at work starts to feel off. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know if you take any of those agonists, but I take pramipexole. And pramipexole, it says right on that little bottle, it says, you could, if you get hypersexuality or obsessive gambling or shopping, to notify your doctor right away. And I think to myself,
I'll take that too, by the way.
But you know what? I'd be too busy.
Yeah, I don't gamble.
I'd be too busy. No, but I mean, if I was doing all that stuff, I'd be too busy to call the doctor. I wouldn't even catch it. But it does that urge. So that's something we always have to watch out for. But anyway, congratulations, Brian, 3 for 3. In the comments, I think we had some 2 for 3s. Like Janine, and there was two for 3, and I think Zed Mandem 2 for 3. I think we did it, but 3 for 3. Okay, that just means I have to. I thought those first 2 questions I thought for sure would trip you up. I really did.
They were well written. I'm going to give it to you. They were well written.
I really did.
One almost had me.
All right. Well, why don't we do the next one? Why don't we jump right into where and we'll do this one and see what do we call this one again?
We call this
the shake-up.
Shake-up.
The shake-up.
Shake-up. So let me just get organized.
Okay.
Here.
So I'll explain. So Brian's going to give me a scenario. Yeah. Brian's going to give me a scenario. We call this the shake-up, and I want you to play along with me now because I'm all over the place. But he's going to give me a scenario to probably obviously do with work, and he's going to give us 3 or 4 options on what we would do in that scenario. And my options, the one I pick, is usually could be way off in outer space. But let's just see if we would react and do the same thing. All right.
Perfect. Good to go. I've got two scenarios, as you explained, with 3 response options for you to choose from. I have been going back and listening to our previous broadcasts. You tend to lean on I would take part of this answer and part of that answer. So okay. Brian would just like to make a mild request to see if you can land on.
Oh, okay. So
just the one.
Okay, so now, okay, gotcha. So what you're saying is you have 1 or 2. You can't be both. But I'm going like I'll be A and a little B and a little. Okay.
Exactly.
That's a good call. Okay, you're right. That could be a good out. Okay, let's do it that way.
All right, let's go with scenario 1 then. Here it says your tremor is acting up during a big client call on a Zoom meeting. Do you A, say nothing and power through, B, mention it casually and keep going, or C, drop camera and switch to video or audio only?
Okay, so I'm going to. Okay, so I got my tremors going on. Do I tell people? Do I say it right away? Mention it, or no? Do I power
Yeah,
through it and don't mention it? Do I mention it? Do I mention it casually and keep going, or do I
correct.
drop the camera and switch to voice only? All right. So A, B, or C in the comments. What would you do? A, B, or C? So I am going to pick one, but I'm going to preface it by this. That
Here we go.
I'm going to preface it by this. Based on my old me, on the old me, 10 years ago I would have picked C, as we talked about, drop the camera, oops, my internet's not working well today,
Yeah,
and hide it. But now that I know what I know that I know, I would mention it casually and keep going. I would go with a B, and I don't know, we got everybody's all over the map on this one, so but I would go with B, and here's what I found, and this is what I found. I just say something. I go like, sorry. I'm like, sorry if I seem a bit shaky today or a bit off today. I'm just not feeling it. But let's just keep going. And it seems to put people at ease, and it just keeps the conversation flowing. And then it's no big deal. And it happens to me often, especially lately when I'm really busy because you're going through meetings after meetings, and so I
yeah,
can't regulate my
yeah.
meds as well and be prepared as well. So, but I just, hey, and I'll even tell people before it happens. In other words, nowadays I know when I'm starting to feel a little bit off or I am moving, and I'll say, hey, by the way, I'm having one of those days where I'm kind of moving a little bit, but don't let it distract you. Let's just keep rolling through, and it seems to just put them at an ease. So that's B.
Nice.
Hey, well, I was one. I was just like, I'm a B.
And I had B selected for you actually. So that's how I like to play along and guess what I think
So you were
might
going to go
best.
B, and
Yeah.
we had a varying in the comments, and if you're watching the replay, do it as well. A, B, or C, but we had a varying. It was all over the place. So everybody's got
Nice.
it's to each their own, right? Whatever works for you, whatever you're comfortable with, is really
Well, that's why they
what's
call
good.
it the snowflake disease, right?
That's right.
All right, let's go to scenario 2.
Okay.
In this one, a coworker asks, "Why are you walking so silly today? Do you? Oh, sorry. Why are you walking so stiffly
Oh,
today?"
stiffly. Okay, I was like silly. Oh, what am I going to say to this?
Yeah, yeah. No, the guy that wrote this is better than the guy reading it. I can tell you that. So, do you A, ignore it and change the subject? B, snap back with sarcasm? Or C, take the moment to educate? So, why are you walking so stiffly today?
So they're asking me. That's the same as when I got that question at work, like, "Hey, why are you shaking so much? Did you have too much coffee, or why are you shaking?
Right,
You have too much
right.
coffee?"
So,
Okay,
so now
so
you're
A,
walking
B,
like
or
the
C.
Tin Man, right?
Walking like the Tin Man. Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. Okay, so the and we got people all over. So we got some B's and some C's, and mostly C's. The inside voice wants to nail him with some sarcasm, but seems a coworker. Nowadays, as you know, I've been
Mm,
dealing with this long enough. I don't miss the point. I don't miss the opportunity to educate,
yeah,
and right away, without condemning, without saying it in a really like I'm not in a nice way. I'd be like, hey, you know what? That's just the Parkinsons. Some days are more stiff than others. Don't know that's the way it is, and it's not a lecture, but just real, right? Just
yeah,
real,
yeah.
risk real. And so I would go, yeah, that would be C. I'd take that moment to educate, and I've learned now that and when I say educate, I don't mean shove it down people's throats and like, hey, this let me sit you down and tell you how this works. I just think that
Right.
even those little comments, we're almost advocating for ourselves and for others, right? So we'll be C, and I think we got a lot of C's in the chat. A lot agree with me, and I think that I would just caution. I would caution that like so many people don't know what PD is. They really don't have a clue. Like they don't have any idea what PD is. They only know PD is Michael J. Fox. Or they don't know PD is this
Yeah,
or that. And
yeah.
so I think if these subtle little things, because again, if your symptoms aren't so obvious,
Hmm.
like the stiffness, I'm stiff, 99% of the day, right? There's or
Right.
100% of the day. And there you go. Yeah. So 99% of people don't know what PD is, right? And so I think if we take those little moments
Yeah.
just to say, hey, yeah, you know what, stiffness comes with PD, and some are better than others, but it's okay. Move on. Like we'll keep going, but we're little into our lives a little bit, and people can start understanding where we're coming from, and we start sharing with what it's really about, it's really and. You made a comment, Brian, and you said that you when you check out of this earth, whenever then, in 50 years from now or 80 years from now, whatever that's going to be, is that you wanted to leave it better than it was, and for people with PD. And so by
Yes.
planting those seeds, like even at work, and planting those seeds to
100%.
say, hey, it's a little stiff. Someone's like, huh, and then the next person that comes along, people are going to be more aware and more, okay with it, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
right?
100%. Absolutely.
So Brian, we have a few.
Absolutely.
We have just a little bit of time left here, and we have. If anybody has any questions and they want us to answer anything, feel free to put those in the chat as I'm being handed my medication in real time. Perfect, thank you.
Isn't she the best?
Oh, she's amazing.
Your wife is awesome.
my my bride, my 1 year and happy anniversary. I love you. As she has my pills. So I actually I was running out of pills this morning of my pramipixole, which I'm taking right now. I was getting low and I was like, huh. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We have a few minutes here. We can answer them and whatnot. But Brian, the other thing too, like the one thing I was going to say is, how did you know when it was time to leave? How did you know it was time you couldn't do what you were doing? Did I ask that already yet with the job?
No, you did not.
Okay. How did you know?
The funny thing is, I had set a deadline of October 2023 as a date to retire. And that was the month. It also tied into the annual year-end date for the company that I was working for. And that's typically when people were packaged out. And I just picked that date knowing that I'd had enough. Like, we don't have time now, but I'll share this story down the road where I actually went on short-term disability with the company I was working for. And the short-term disability folks decided three weeks into that plan that if they gave me a sit-stand desk and voice software for my computer, that would eliminate the challenges I was having with Parkinson's, taking away the ability of me to use my right arm to its full capacity. So we'll have that story down the road. Yeah. But when they pulled the rug out from under my feet, my boss got real creative, and he put together a plan thank God for COVID.
You had a great boss. But you had a good boss.
I did.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
And I can't thank him enough. But we'll have that conversation down the road. I picked that date because I knew I was done. I couldn't. If I can't give 100% of the time, don't put me out for my shift, because you will get 100% of the time when you put me out. You've seen me in action in the last year, Bryce, in being a volunteer with your organization. I haven't even known you a year yet. We're doing a podcast together.
Well, we have the same personality though, right? But so like if I'm doing something, I want to give it everything I got, right? And maybe that's to my detriment sometimes. But that's kind of the way I'm wired as well. It's like, hey, if we're going to do something, let's go. And I feel like we don't know, right? I don't know when the time's going to come when I'm not going to be able to do what I can do today. Progressively, we know it's coming. And so I want to make use of every single day. I want whatever I can do today. I want to do it, right?
Yes.
That's it. That's how I want to do it.
Absolutely.
Right. One of the questions in the comments, Brian, do you have any probably feet? Oops, jeez. Any of your feet, any dyskinesia in your, dystonia in your feet or anything like that?
No.
Nothing. I had, before I was diagnosed, when I first got diagnosed, I had a twitch in my right, this side, my right pinky, and that's how it started. I started to tremor on my right hand side, and as I was going through, it took me two to 2.5 years to get a diagnosis. I went through different neurologists. Both had, again, long story, but both told me I was crazy. It was in my head, and didn't give me any answers to why I was shaking and tremoring. And then about a year after the tremor, I woke up in the morning and all my feet one foot, the right foot was curled up. Wow. And I could not uncurl my toes. And I was trying to stretch my toes. I was trying to stretch my toes out, and I couldn't get them. And finally, I went on and on and on, and finally got them straight, but they were so sore and like hard, like a cement. They were like cement.
Wow.
And then I'd wake up every morning like that. And then eventually it led to both feet. So both feet just like crinkled
Really?
over.
And
When I
how do you
wake,
walk?
yeah, it's insane. Well, you
Wow.
can't. Yeah, like
Yeah.
literally can't. And so to this day, um, I have
Jeez.
to do stretches with my feet before I go to
Okay.
sleep. Before I go to sleep, I stretch my toes in and out, like I pull it in and off.
Okay.
Just because even today, when I haven't taken my meds for a period of time, like if I through the night, if I don't take it for 8 hours, they're so sore. Like they're just like they're the craziest. They're so unpliable, right? I
Wow.
do, and Zedman had asked about this, and what I've done as well at night now. I'm telling you, this is a miracle cure. I don't know how or why this works, but my wife got me this vitamin E spray, and I spray my feet before I go to sleep.
Really?
I spray my feet before, or no, it's not no, it's not. What the heck is it? Anyway, I'll put it in the description when we're done.
Okay.
I'll show you the stuff I've got. But I spray my feet, and it
Really?
all of a sudden. So Zemin, I swear, it's yeah, magnesium. Sorry, that's it exactly. That's a
Ah,
magnesium. This magnesium spray that I have.
okay.
I mean, when my wife bought it, I'm like, she's always, hey, try this. Hey, I read about this. Hey, try this. And I'm like, and now she's like, hey, now tonight, we're gonna spray your feet. And I'm like, why? She says, trust me. And I don't know, trust me, let's just try it. Anyway, so I spray my feet and my calves and my feet. I'm telling you, don't wait. It's
Nice.
cheap. It's not expensive. And maybe it'll work for you. Maybe it won't. I mean, obviously, these are
Okay.
just my own, what I've found that works for me. But oh my God, game changer.
Now, do you still do the stretching with the spray?
I still do the stretching.
Okay. Good.
Yeah,
Good.
I still stretch on. It becomes a habit now, I guess, if that's the right way to say it. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I still stretch it out and I still do it. But I'm telling you, it's been to me, at least for me, it's been so good. It's been just like
Nice.
one of those things that I'm like, oh, now it's like becoming a thing. Spray my feet. When you were younger, you just go to bed, right? You just went to sleep,
No, no kidding.
right? Like you need a couple hours and you just get her up and get her going, right? But you just go to
Yep.
sleep. Now I feel like bedtime is just it's like I'm going to probably do a thing on this and maybe tomorrow morning because it's one of these things that's getting me today. But and just as a heads up, and just so you know, I actually had to get my hearing that tested last week, and it was awful, and it was all nerve related, and it was all neuro, right?
Okay.
So I asked the audiologist. I said, "Do you know anything about Parkinson's?" And she's like, "No, I really don't." She goes, "You have Parkinson's, though, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, how'd you know that?" And she goes, "Well, you wrote it on the paper, but I saw you shaking in the room." um, but she said, and she says, "I honestly don't know, but I'm going to tell you that maybe it's something to look into because your hearing loss is definitely is a neuro." And anytime someone says neuro now, I'm like, I got to dig in and see if it's related because it's through the brain. My brain is not, or the what's coming into my ears are working perfectly. Everything, the bones are moving and stuff. She said everything's moving, but the what my ear is telling my brain is different. My brain's taking a long time to process it.
Uh,
Right, so I'm listening to somebody say something,
that's
and I'm taking long to process it. And I'm okay. The truth is, I had tinnitus. I started getting tinnitus when I was about 45, and so I got
okay.
this loud buzzing in both ears, and that's okay. Um, but what's
Jeez.
amazing or what's different about that to me is um, I have no problem wearing hearing aids. Like, I mean, if you talk about stigma and all this, like, who cares? If it's going to make me hear better, bring it on. Let's go. So they literally do my
Yeah.
hearing. She says, "Oh my gosh," she says, "it's bad. Like, it's bad. I don't know how you're getting through this." So I actually ordered hearing aids that night. Okay,
Wow.
that night, that night, and so they're coming like next week. So I'm getting hearing aids. You know what the thing though is? The only thing that's going through my head, like, I don't have any. I muted myself. I don't have any problem wearing them. I don't have any problem, like, no big deal. But it's the nighttime. Okay, so I have a CPAP machine as well for sleep
Okay.
apnea, which I don't wear anymore, but just because I just got married. It's not the most attractive thing to have this big mask on your face and talk like Darth Vader. But I mean, that's a vain thing for me. But sorry, I totally got distracted. I have the ADHD too, I think. But in the comments, they're all talking about. I saw hockey pop up, and they're all, and I'm like, oh my god, if we're getting into hockey talk, this is going to go crazy because we're the Winnipeg Jets. Just so everybody knows, are the first right now in the NHL. throwing it out there. I'm from Winnipeg, and oh my God, we got Minnesota fans. Oh, this is
The old North
beautiful.
Stars with Caesar Maniago.
The old North Stars, the new Wild. That is amazing. Yeah, that's so cool. Anyway, but now my bedtime routine. Can you imagine this? Like I got to go to bed. I got to get ready for bed 3 hours before I go to bed. I gotta take my contacts out because now I need contacts, right? I gotta now take my hearing aids out. Then I gotta get the spray my feet. Then spray my feet. Take the CPAP machine. Come on, How much more can one person take?
Lots more. Bring it.
I just love having fun with that. I had such a fun time today. This was amazing.
Good chat.
I could go on for hours and hours and hours and hours, but it's my anniversary. It's my first year anniversary today, and I think my bride, my wife, would love to probably see me, which I'm going to do. I'm going to spend some time with her today. But
what are you cooking for dinner? What are you cooking for dinner? What are you cooking? I know you took her out last night.
My wife's Italian though. She makes the best Italian.
She makes a wicked lasagna.
Oh yes.
If I ever come to Winnipeg, that's my order.
Okay, deal. And she'll be the first to tell you. Actually, now that you said that, she'll probably send me, next time I come to Toronto, she'll say, oh, and by the way, take this on the plane. There's a frozen lasagna. And take it to Brian.
Yes.
Because literally, but I'm almost intimidated to cook around her, right? Because it's like,
fair enough.
She's so good at it. And she loves to do it. That's kind of one of her things. She loves feeding people. Like coming to our place for dinner, you'll take enough home to last you 3 weeks. So, and the tiramisu, yes, all the way around. So, no, I told her the other day that she is a very good cook, and I'm a very good cuddler. So and she said that she would take that. So, anyway, and I had so much fun with everybody today in the comments as well. Thank you for being here. You guys are amazing, and I hope that you find this space just a safe space, just to be real. And you know what, we're all down that same path, right? We're all going up the same mountain. Some of we're taking different paths, but there's a lot that we have in common. And if this helped you today or whatever, share with somebody. It'd be great. And we're going to be back here at the same time next week, and we would love you to join us. We have no idea what we're going to talk about. It usually has to do with something one of us is dealing with. But thanks to everybody who partake today. And Brian, you have an amazing week. It's April this week. It's Parkinson's Awareness Month. So you're going to see a lot of me. Apparently, I got people asking me to do videos all over the place. So
you're in town. Let me know.
Raise some awareness and have some fun. But anyway, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you. We love you, and we'll see you next week.
Be well, everyone.